name is Martin Preib. I'm a writer in Chicago, and I'm also a Chicago police officer. I've written two books. The first book was a collection of essays published by the University of Chicago Press. Mostly stories about hauling dead bodies to the morgue when I worked the wagon on the north side of Chicago, and I worked in a neighborhood. And that was my first book. My second book is called Crooked City. It's a collection of, it's an exploration of several murders in 1982. 1982 was a pivotal year in Chicago because there were a collection of murder cases that became the basis of what is now called the wrongful conviction movement, which is, it is a claim by various law firms and activists in the city that the police tortured confessions out of many men who were innocent, largely for racial reasons, and these activists were able to get these murderers pardoned and released from prison. And many of them sued the city of Chicago and made huge settlements. I became curious about one of these cases from 1982 in which a young man went berserk in the West Side Projects, and he strangled a family of 4 to death. And one of the people he strangled was a 3-year-old boy he raped first. But he had been released on the claim that the police violated his civil rights, that they unlawfully took him into custody. And the papers did their research and they saw that he had once been convicted of this quadruple homicide. And I started tracking down people, and the more I dug into it, the more I became convinced that the police didn't do anything wrong at all, and that this guy should not have been released. And if he had not been released, he would not have killed this poor woman up in the suburbs. Well, as I became aware of this case and I began talking to the detectives, I found a collection of other people who were also involved in looking at some of these murders, in particular the Anthony Porter case. And we were very clearly convinced that Anthony Porter, in no doubt, committed these murders. So this whole investigation into these murders, starting with the quadruple homicide by James Ely and then into Anthony Porter, I decided that my investigation into it would be a worthwhile narrative structure.
These are violent homicides that are investigated by the best investigators on earth. And here comes along 2 co-eds who, in a matter of days after one interview, solved the case.
Everybody was consistent. The eyewitnesses, the circumstantial witnesses. They compromised the facts. They twisted the facts.
When you look at their investigation, I mean, it's just silly. They didn't really do anything. They uncovered no new evidence. I
I can't really describe. I had no idea that the justice system worked like that before I started taking. I just didn't know.